The October 2024 meeting of the City of Scranton Zoning Hearing Board will now come to order. Will the secretary please take roll?
Board Member McDermott.
Present.
Board Member D'Antona.
Here.
Board Member Morris.
Here.
Board Member Gattens.
Here.
Chairman Walsh.
Here, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. In accordance with the Pennsylvania State Sunshine Law, this board shall render its decision on each case either at the end of each hearing or within 45 days of the hearing. If you are to give testimony in a case, please come to the podium, raise your right hand, and wait to be sworn in. After being sworn in, state your name and address and proceed with your testimony. Also, anyone giving testimony who does not become a party to the case may obtain a written decision from the zoning office. I also have two announcements of law. If you are granted a variance or a special exception, you must wait 30 days from the date of our decision to obtain necessary permits to start work. However, you may obtain a permit sooner by signing a waiver that any work done during that 30-day period is at your own risk. A favorable decision by this board shall expire 12 months from the date of said authorization in accordance with Section 111I of the zoning ordinance. If you fail to obtain the necessary permits or do not comply with any or all conditions of said authorization, you must seek an extension. Is there any remarks? Abraham, the verifications of the postings?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I guess we'll announce that. I'm sure everybody saw on the sign when we came in the last case on Dartmouth Street for the 4-unit apartments. Is that going to be continued till next month?
That is correct.
Okay. Please call the first case.
Okay, first on the agenda today, we have Mof Solutions seeks variance to operate a nail salon at 2934 Birney Avenue, R-9 zone. Please step up.
Anybody here for Birney Avenue Nail Salon? Okay, we'll bring that to the end. Let's do the next one.
Next on the agenda, we have William Fox seeks an appeal to recognize property as a commercial use, not residential, at 600 St. Francis Cabrini Street, R-11.
I do. William Fox, FOX.
You may proceed.
Looking for an extension on our hearing from last time. We didn't get the property cleaned up as much as we'd like. They ran into a problem. The cars that have to be removed, I don't own, so I can't have them towed. I don't have titles to them.
So how long are you looking for?
Whatever you can give me.
So you're looking to table this until, you're looking to table it until another date?
Yes.
Okay. So how much progress have you made over there?
According to one of the neighbors, 10, 15%, that's it. About 20 cars. I think there was 127 last time, and there's still 100.
So who owns the cars that you're saying you don't own?
Fazooks Auto.
Are they making any attempt to do anything, or are they ignoring what you're asking them?
Some of them that they were working on, I'm not sure. I can't remove them because
Yeah, I get that. My concern is that this can drag on, get extension, again extension, again extension. And I was over there yesterday, and it's a mess. I mean, it's a mess. And now, how long have you owned that? How long have you owned it?
about 10, 12 years.
So, I mean, did you see that happening? Did you see it becoming that way and just let it go, or?
Well, it wasn't when I was over there myself.
Right.
It's when we rented out the whole building.
I just look at it that, I mean, some of the burden falls on you as the owner, that this is something that should never have grown to the point that it's at. I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not comfortable giving another extension. It's up to the rest of the board as well.
I think he has multiple tenants over there that he's dealing with, so I personally don't see a problem with an extension. It's a big project. It's not something that can be done overnight. It's gonna take some time.
But how much time we're going to look at?
But that's the question, you know? And I know, Dan, you kind of stepped away, but legally, like, how long can we give him on this?
We only gave 1% so far.
So,
So we certainly can give them at least another 30 days.
yeah, are some of the
board
neighbors
wants-
here that, from last time? Did you want to come up and express maybe how long you're okay with him taking to, did you want to come on up and speak?
You could sit there. You could have a seat.
If you don't mind just getting sworn in real quick.
Yes, sir. Dale Honey, H-O-N-N-E-Y. Mr. Fox and I have spoken about this. It's not his fault. It's a tenant problem. And I believe in my heart, I know the tenant. I've known him all my life. His aunt's one of my best friends. He has no intention of getting rid of all the vehicles. None. He's trying to run a business out of there, several businesses, a car lot, body shop, mechanic shop, towing business. He's trying to run all these things out of this building. And I do not believe he has any intentions of he may get rid of half of the vehicles that are absolutely positively in pieces, but I don't think he ever has an intention. And this puts Mr. Fox, in my opinion, in a tight spot, because I don't want to see you guys fighting Mr. Fox. He's not the problem. Mr. Tallarico is the person that needs to be fined, and I don't know if there's any mechanism for that. Is there?
I mean, I'm sure,
I mean, Mr.
zoning
Tallarico
officer-
can drag his feet for 30 days,
well, I mean, as,
30 weeks, and he's the one that's going to get blamed for
he can
it.
also evict the tenant.
I'm all for that.
Mr. Fox, step up. Let's put on the record that your relationship with Mr. Tallarico is that you have an installment sale agreement with him. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he was supposed to have paid you off and taken over the property?
September of last year, yep.
Yeah, and he hasn't. So your solution
Right.
is to evict him. So I think if the board gives you a 30-day extension so you could begin eviction proceedings, I would guess that the board would go along with something like that.
I just don't think, Dan, you're going to get something accomplished in 30 days.
But at least if if Mr. Fox starts the eviction action, it kind of brings them into court.
Is that your intentions? I'll run that.
But Dan, how long does it take them to get him evicted? That takes a long time.
It could. I would have to look at the installment land contract that they have. I know they have one. And it could go to the magistrate and get an eviction, or to court to get an eviction. Now, is that going to happen in 30 days? The actual eviction will not happen within 30 days, but at least the process would start.
And then what, he'd have to come back here in 30 days again, or are we able to, or how would we proceed from there?
Well, I think within 30 days, we'd have to have Mr. Fox come back in and show us what progress on the eviction that he's made.
Okay, I think that's more than fair.
Okay,
But
I'll go with that.
he could appeal it too. This guy's going to buy it too, right?
He
He
can,
could drag this on a long time.
Well, he could, but again, like Mr. Honey said, this really isn't Mr. Fox's fault. So Mr. Fox now has to figure out a way to solve the problem, and I think Mr. Honey goes along with that. He knows what the problem is.
I think even if the city follows through with its procedures, I don't think it's going to happen any faster.
Right, because,
We would have to go to the magistrate and file a civil complaint against Mr. Fox. And normally a magistrate is going to give the owner time to comply also. So 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. Probably the eviction is probably the better outcome for the neighbors than us following through with enforcement action at this point.
So I know I can't ask Dan this question, so Don maybe. So what's the outcome if we vote no on this tonight? The same process is going to take place. Mr. Fox will hopefully start an eviction notice. So what's the benefit of us giving 30 days?
Honestly, I don't know what he asked the board for. I read the application, the application, and the ad says that he's asking for the city to recognize it as a commercial property. I think we already know it's a non-conforming use in that zone.
Right.
I think I looked at this more, we've sent a notice of violation. I'm looking at this more as an appeal of that notice. So I think the board could do two things. The board could uphold our violation notice, and then that puts it back in the city's court to follow through with whatever penalties there are. Or I don't think the board has the authority to make the property commercial.
Correct.
Right.
You don't have the authority to change the zoning there.
Could we grant him a change of use, or
Yeah.
are we able to grant him like a,
Yeah, I think you could hear the appeal of the zoning violation, but I think it was clear that there is a violation there.
correct, right?
So, I mean, if that was the case, I would ask the board to uphold the violation, and that would put it back on the city to follow through with whatever enforcement actions there are. So I'm looking at this to what Mr. Fox asked for was for you to dismiss the zoning violation.
Yeah. And by rights, that's all we can vote on tonight, is what the request
Yes.
was, and that's what the application is
Right,
to.
was the violation notice correct or not?
Right. So, I mean, that's our vote tonight, is what, I mean, it has nothing to do with Mr. Fox being a good guy, bad guy, and I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's a victim of circumstances by that tenant that is in there. But I think our vote has to be just on what he asked, and our vote is to uphold what was given to him or go against what the city gave him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, the board typically doesn't have any enforcement powers. You can't order him to move those cars.
No,
You
no.
could say that they're not allowed to be there.
Right. That falls back on the
Right,
city.
but then it's back on us to follow through. So I think either way, like I said, I think the eviction is probably the best outcome. It's going to take a little while, but even if you uphold this and we go and file with the magistrate tomorrow, it's going to be weeks or a month before we have a hearing, and the magistrate typically would give someone 30 or 60 days to comply anyway.
Yeah, it's no different than a house when you go to.
Yeah, so 6 and 1,
Yeah.
half a dozen of the other.
That's why I couldn't figure out what, given an extra 30 days, was actually going to buy anything. I'm just speaking for myself, not the board. I think the route to go would be to vote no, or uphold the city and let the city take the ball and start going with it.
Yeah, and what I would say from our end, if you uphold the zoning violation, we could work with Mr. Fox and give him 30 days to file the,
Right.
to
Get the
file the
eviction filed
eviction
and everything.
notice.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Any other testimony? Any other testimony?
Anyone else here to give testimony on this case? There's not.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to vote whether to uphold the city's
Notice of violation.
notice of violation. A yes vote being yes to uphold it, a no vote being to go against the city's violation notice.
Second.
Board Member McDermott,
Yes.
Board Member D'Antona,
Yes.
Board Member Morris,
Yes.
Board Member Gattni.
Yes.
Chairman Walsh.
Yes, a vote of 5-0, it's been upheld, and hopefully you guys could work together and make something happen for the neighbors here. Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Appreciate it.
We call the next case, please?
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the Sanctuary House LLC seeks variance to convert residential property into sober living home at 814, 816 South 12th Avenue, R-10 zone. Please step up.
R10. Technically, the appeal was denied, is how I'm going to phrase it.
Yeah.
Good catch.
That's everything. Thank you.
Ready to go?
Are you an attorney, sir?
Yeah, Kevin Smith.
Okay. You may proceed.
Thanks. I'm here on behalf of the Sanctuary House LLC, the applicant tonight for 3 variances for 814-816 South 12th Avenue. I'm actually withdrawing the variance for the impervious surface. Based on the survey we had completed since I filed the application, we are under the 75% threshold, so I will formally withdraw that and proceed on my other 2 variances tonight.
Could you just, for the board, enumerate the variances one by one so they have it?
Sure. So I'm proceeding under the variance section 10.3 for a group care facility in an R10 zone. The group care facility is defined in your Article 2 definitions. I'm applying for a variance under your section 10.3 for off-street parking pursuant to Article 7, subsection 7.1.1. And as I indicated, I had an impervious surface variance, which I'm no longer seeking. So essentially, a group care facility variance, a use variance for that use, and a parking variance for less than the required amount of spaces would be required for our project. Any questions about the variances per se?
No.
Okay. So the Sanctuary House is a company owned by Shirley and Alan Morrow. They're seeking a group care facility designation in an R10 zone for a halfway house for men transitioning from drug and alcohol treatment centers back into society. The owner, Shirley, is here today, and I'll just give you some specifics. So the residents would have 10 clients at one time. The clients are all males, at least 18 years of age, and they go through a rigorous application process to be admitted to the halfway house. And they all have recently completed an inpatient detoxification or an inpatient rehabilitation program. So these are the men coming from the treatment centers. So the Sanctuary House is not administering any medication. There's no medical care, there's no nursing care, okay? The only care being offered here is essentially group care among the clients and on-site counseling. This is the Sanctuary's House this would be their second facility. They actually went through the zoning approval in Wilkes-Barre 2 years ago and were approved and opened 2 years ago, and the house is doing amazing. The men are thriving, they're graduating the program, they're good neighbors, there's been no incidents, as you'll hear from the project director. The Sanctuary House is licensed and approved by numerous state agencies. This is a passion of Shirley. She's worked countless hours over the past few years getting licenses, credentials, approvals by all the drug and alcohol agencies in the state. I've actually heard the Luzerne County inspectors call the Sanctuary House the gold standard of halfway houses. They do things correctly and the right way, and they go above and beyond. Now, before I start presenting my case, I just want to make one distinction. I see in the agenda you're calling it a sober living home, and that's fine because that term is used interchangeably with other terms. You'll hear sober living home, sober house, recovery house, halfway house. And society uses all those terms to relatively mean the same thing. However, from a state licensing standpoint, our license is technically a halfway house. So I would just ask that any written decision that the board and Dan, that you may issue, I would just ask that the approval be technically called a halfway house with alcohol and drug counseling. So I'm going to call my first witness. Dan, you want to come on up?
I do. It's Anna Mecca Finnerty, ANNA-MECCA-FINNERTY. A in the beginning and A at the end, 2 N's in the middle.
ANNA.
Spells the same way backwards.
Like race car. Okay, Anna, what is your position with the Sanctuary House?
I'm the project director.
And can you just tell the board a little bit about your background?
Okay, well, I think the first thing is that I was raised in northeastern Pennsylvania from Dunmore. I've lived in a variety of places in the Scranton area throughout my life. So I have that, my mom and dad taught me those values, you know, and I put that into my work. I currently have a license from the state of Pennsylvania that allows me to be a professional counselor. I'm a graduate of several institutions, University of Scranton being one, and Goddard College being the other one. So I have an educational background. I've been in the field of addictions for 34 years. So I bring all of that to the table when we talk about what we're going to do at Sanctuary House. I designed the first program. It'll be a similar program in the new place if we're granted what we seek today.
And do you perform the actual counseling for the Sanctuary House?
I do until we get to a certain number, and then there'll be another counselor that will be hired and added in to staff.
Okay, could you tell the board what the Sanctuary House's approach is to treating alcohol and drug addiction?
Well, I think it's very eclectic because no individual is the same, but we have some core mandates. When I screen every client, and when I screen them, I let them know. I consider us a working 12-step house, meaning that the first focus is their recovery. They need to attend a 12-step meeting every day. Whether it's AA or NA, it's really up to them. If they want to try some other recovery modalities, they're allowed to do that in addition to. So that's the first thing. The second thing is everybody who comes in is expected to go out, get a job, because that's part of what we're doing. And we do group counseling and individual counseling so that we can support the guys as they transition through us. And we hope at the end of their stay, they'll have a job, they'll have saved money, they can transition into sober living, their recovery is solid, all of those things, because that's what our goal is.
Okay, you mentioned care through counseling. Does the Sanctuary House administer any kind of medically assisted treatment drugs or anything of that sort?
We do not. What we do is we refer them out for their MAT. We don't allow methadone because it becomes complicated. Most of our guys use the Sublocade or the Vivitrol shot. If they're prescribed Suboxone, then they have to take care of that, and we lock it up, but they have to take that on their own every morning or however it's prescribed. It's not loose in the house, and we don't prescribe it or give it.
Okay, so that leads to my next question. So if there was, although I'm not administered, if there was somebody on medication, and let's just even say blood pressure medication, or let's even take it a step down. Let's say Tylenol or Sudafed, something simple. What would be the process for
Sudafed
that?
probably would not be allowed because it has the ability to give us false positives for methamphetamine. But if they need cold medicine, if they need Tylenol, Motrin, even over-the-counter stuff, it's kept in a triple locked room, and they come up with a staff member takes out all the keys and opens it. There's a little basket. They hand it to the guy. They observe him taking his medication. Both the client and the staff member on duty sign our electronic record, and that's put away in front of them, back into the thing, and then we do the next one.
And this would apply to any medication?
Any medication.
Okay.
There are some medications we don't allow, but
Well, I'm glad I mentioned Sudafed. So something like that is
Yeah.
actually monitored and can't be allowed.
yeah, we check all medications before I even do the interview, and if they have anything that we deem as out of our, ability to have in there, like we had one guy apply and he's on Flexeril. It's a muscle relaxer. However, it's a muscle relaxer that can get him wasted if he hides and takes enough, and it can throw false positives sometimes. So he couldn't come because I couldn't take that medication and allow it to be on site.
Okay. So in addition to the counseling, just to clarify this for me, there's no medical care on site, correct?
Nope, we contract out for everything like that. We contract out for, every client who comes to Sanctuary House gets referred to a PCP, primary care physician. They do that within the first 30 days. They go, they get a physical. They had a physical in rehab, but we like an up-to-date one if we can. And then that PCP will take care of his medical needs. He may send them for tests or whatever. They just let us know, and we make time available for him to do that. The same thing with any other referrals he might need. We strictly provide drug and alcohol counseling. That's it.
And who performs the counseling? Can you talk to the board about how the counseling is administered?
It's either in a group or an individual session. Either myself or Greg Skomsky, our BSW, performs it as of now. We would have to hire another person with all of the right background material if we went forward with this project because of number limits. The state is rigorous in what they make us do. Before they open, they need to come through and do a plant inspection. So they make sure everything is tip-top there, and they're pretty thorough. And then they do policy and procedure inspection. They read through our policies and procedures, make sure we've covered everything. The good news is our policy and procedure book passed with flying colors, and we can use that in a new place. And every year, DDAP comes back and does that physical inspection. They'll do nothing really with policy and procedures unless we add something, but they will do staff records. All the staff have to have the right qualifications for their position. And then they do charting records to make sure that we've done that right too. I don't think I mentioned.
Greg, maybe? Greg?
Oh, Greg Skomsky. Gregg Skomsky, I think.
Now, having 10 clients living in the residence at one time, would you consider the program a family-like environment?
Oh, absolutely. We like them to have dinner together. They do chores together on, I think it's Sunday night. we encourage them to bond with each other and support each other. That's part of why they're there. So that, we have dinner as a family, they watch TV as a family.
Let's talk about the admission process.
Okay.
How does someone become a client at the Sanctuary House?
There's a very rigid thing that we do. First of all, we don't take anybody off the street. They have to go to a treatment program, go somewhere where we can rest assured their drug and alcohol detox and early stabilization have been done. If they are determined to need halfway house care at that point, they would send me a bunch of information, a biopsychosocial, a history and physical, a list of all meds they're on, and from there, I would read through all of that, and when I'm finished, I would decide if he was worth doing an interview to or not. There's some things that weed them out right away. We don't take anybody with major criminal backgrounds. I mean, nobody with arson, murder, child abuse, anything that would upset people in the neighborhood. Sometimes they do have like drug and alcohol charges, but that's part of why they're there. So I screen through all of that, and then I personally interview every one of the guys that we place in Sanctuary House. I interview them, and then they either are approved or denied, and then they go on a waiting list. Unfortunately, our waiting list can be extremely long because everybody wants to get them into Sanctuary House, except I only have 10 beds, so we're not going there. But hopefully, if we can get a second operation running, some of the Scranton and Lackawanna County cases that I have in the Wilkes-Barre location now could transition up here and be closer to the things that they're going to need when they leave. I mean, a lot of them aren't going to start over in Wilkes-Barre, and it's harder. I mean, we only deal with, the Northeast and North Central as terms of insurance and referrals. So they're all pretty much around the attached counties. And it'd be good if we could get some of those guys up here where their family is, because they're not allowed to have vehicles. No client is allowed to have a vehicle at the facility at any given time. They're supposed to rely on public transportation, and to get to know places up here, if they're from here, that would just make more sense.
Okay, and just to be clear, so the program that these, and it's men only, correct?
Yes, men only.
Okay, the program for these men, just to be clear, this is a voluntary program, like they want
Oh,
to be here.
absolutely. They do not get to come if they're looking for a place to live, or if they don't want to do 12-step meetings. They need to want to come, and they need to be willing to follow the handbook that we give them. I encourage them all to read it before we even call for the interview, because if they have anything they disagree with or want to talk about, I'm open to talking about it, but if it's one of the solid things like AA and a job, not going to happen. You need to go somewhere else. I'm really strict about what we do and what we don't do.
Okay, you mentioned you look for criminal past, and you take no one who would have a violent criminal past or things
Correct.
of that sort. How about severe mental health history?
No, we don't do that either. We're not equipped. We don't provide any medical care, and there's a counselor and a tech on duty. We're not equipped for mental health stuff like that. So, I mean, anxiety, depression, that we might do, but anything more intense than that, they need to go someplace that's equipped to do that.
And what is a typical stay time for a client?
What they do every day?
No, the stay, like how long are their individual stays?
When they get anywhere from 90 to, 120 days seems to be the average. I've had people finish less than 90, and I've had a few people stay way beyond. Usually they're older, and getting them into some type of housing is a little hard, and I'm not going to throw them out just because, your 90 days passed. We didn't go through all of that to make that happen. But we managed to find housing for them. It takes a while, or they manage to find housing for them. Either way, we both help. They do, and so do I.
Now, you mentioned clients having jobs. Are they required to have a job or otherwise perform some sort of community service on a daily basis?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, once they're there and settled in, and we usually like give them 2 weeks to settle in, go to some meetings, get to know the guys. And in that time period, they can go online and apply for jobs. In Wilkes-Barre, they usually use Indeed and the temp agencies. And they apply for different jobs, and then they take a job and they have to keep it. Now, in the event we get somebody who's on Social Security disability for some reason, they need to be willing to do some volunteer work somewhere. I don't want them laying around the house all day watching TV. We don't even allow the TV on during the day because they're not there to just take up space.
You mentioned that clients aren't allowed to have vehicles on site. Could the clients have any visitors at the facility?
Not on facility property. We encourage all their visits to take place off property. Of course, they're randomly drug and alcohol screened after they come back from a visit. Now, if a family session is required, that will do on site.
Okay, that led to my next question. So you do test the clients for drug and alcohol use?
Constantly.
Okay. Now let's talk about staffing at the Sanctuary House. Is there always a staff member on site for support?
It's required. It's required by the state that there has to be somebody there 24/7, 365. So there's always a staff member on duty. Usually behavior techs who are personally chosen because we think they have something to offer the clients. But yeah, they have to have somebody there to offer support.
Okay, so that would be for offering support if somebody needed it at any time. Okay. Do the clients go into their rooms without supervision?
Well, they do get some private time in their room, sure. I mean, we're not a prison, so they get to go in their room, but they can't really do that until like 3 o'clock. That's what we've kind of set up for them. So if they want to go in and take a nap before dinner, that's okay. But then they need to be up and ready to go to a meeting.
Okay.
And we check their bags and belongings when they come back, and we do random checks of their rooms.
Okay. So you mentioned no family on site or anything of that sort. So I assume that clients can't be related to any staff members or anything of that sort.
Yeah, that would kind of be an ethical violation.
Right. Let's talk about the Sanctuary House's licenses.
Okay.
Okay. So are you approved by the PA Department of Public Welfare?
Yeah, we're approved by them. In fact, our contracts with CCBH and medical assistants prove that. So they are our biggest referrals, actually. So we're approved through contract with them. We are licensed by the state, the Department of Drug and Alcohol. I went through that whole. They're intense in what they look for.
Is that a yearly approval?
Every year. Then we're CLIA approved. That way we can give random screens in the house. So CLIA, C-L-E-A, right? I. C-L-E-I. And then my license requires me to do continuing education credits, 30 every year. All of the staff have to do continuing education credits, depending on their job position, where they go to do that. And that has to happen. There's some that DDAP requires, and if they don't get them, they can't work there. So our staff gets ongoing training. I get ongoing training.
And then are you credentialed, is the Sanctuary House credentialed by the Community Care Behavioral Health?
Yes.
Is the Sanctuary House credentialed by Luzerne County Single County Authority?
Yes.
And has
They come in and check too.
Right.
Ryan comes over and he does a chart review and checks out the facility and all of that. So, yeah, that's another review process.
And have you been in touch with the Lackawanna County Single County Authority?
We have been in touch with Barb Durkin, and Shirley actually spoke with her, and she said that she's supportive and all of her staff is supportive because they don't have anything here. They don't have anything in the Scranton area. And they really need something in the Scranton area in terms of halfway house where they get ongoing counseling. There's a staff member 24/7 to offer support, kind of help them like figure out that maybe their thought was not the best spot. Barb Durkin. Durkin.
And let's talk about the facility in Wilkes-Barre, just since we have a precedent here for 2 years. Since it's been up and running, has there been any incidents with police involvement?
One incident with police involvement, it was earlier this year. I actually had to call the police because I had a client that refused to do what was required and then refused to leave. So rather than there be any kind of craziness, I just called the police. They came in, they looked at the license, they looked at him, said, yeah, you gotta go.
Are you aware of any incidents or issues that arose with any of the neighbors?
Oh, our neighbors love the guys. The one guy we had there, he used to go over and cut the next door neighbor's grass all the time. She doesn't like me because he would fear fibs because she'd want to give him money, and he'd go, yeah, that lady who runs that place, she'd beat me if I took her money. But they cut her grass, they shovel her snow, they'll go across the street and cut and shovel. We've been an asset to the neighborhood. On Halloween, I don't let anybody in the house, but the guys go out on the porch with a big bucket of candy. All the kids love it because, you know, we're willing to do that. We do community service in the community sometimes. So, yeah, we've been, that police incident was the only one. We had a couple of EMS calls in the first year we opened, but that was because we had some elderly gentlemen who started developing medical issues that I found I didn't want to take a risk on. And we, of course, it was always after hours, and we didn't have transportation, so I called EMS to come get them. I think that happened like 3 times. But no sirens, no problems.
And the last thing I'm going to ask you about is the house layout, okay? So does the state, as being a licensed facility, do they have specific requirements for how the house must be in terms of like square footage and rooms and all of that stuff?
Well, yeah, the house, each bedroom, it has to have a certain amount of square footage based on the client who's in there. So we can't stuff the rooms because we'd be in violation. Most of our rooms down there have 2 bunk beds, have like a set of bunk beds. We have 2 really big rooms, one downstairs, one upstairs. In those rooms, we have a set of bunk beds and then another bed because we can.
Okay. Now, for a halfway house, being in a residential district, as opposed to, say, you know, a commercial district or something of that sort, would you consider that important to be in a residential district?
Well, yeah, because we're trying to offer them a new way to live, and living in the, you know, down in the industrial park is not going to teach them what they need to know, how to be neighborly, how to look out for other people, how to work together as a family to solve problems, how to get to work every day. I mean, that's not going to happen, you know, for back in a commercialized area. You know, we try to give them as many family supports as we can, even if they don't have family supports. One of that is the environment.
Okay. I have no other questions for for Anna. Does the board have any questions for her?
Hi, Anna, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I do have a couple questions, probably more than a couple. How many bedrooms are in that house that you're looking at over there?
Over there?
Yeah.
I don't know how many are there now, but I know they'd be looking for 10 people, so it might be 5 bedrooms. I don't know, Shirley.
I could get into this now if you'd like,
It's
if I could interject. So in the packet I gave the board, we have a current house layout. I have it marked as Exhibit 1. So we'll be utilizing the first 2 floors, and there's actually currently there's 6 bedrooms. And again, the Department of Drug and Alcohol, they have very specific requirements for square footage. So we would be utilizing 5 of the bedrooms with 2 people living in each one.
Okay.
For 2 floors.
Okay.
Okay. It's a 2,800 square foot property on 2 floors. There is a 3rd floor, which makes it 3,600, but like I said, we would meet the requirements of the state with the first 2 floors and the 5 bedrooms.
Do your clients, are they allowed to cook in their rooms?
Are they allowed to cook?
Yeah.
In the room.
Like a hot plate or anything like that?
No, nothing
Okay.
like that. The most they can have in their room is an air conditioner or a fan. No heaters, no burners, nothing that. Everything is done in the kitchen area.
Okay. And I think the attorney touched on visitors, but I want to go back there one more time. So they're not allowed visitors in the house or on the property?
Right.
Did I hear you at the end? I was reading as you were talking. Is there an exception?
The exception to that is if we feel a family session is important, in which case whatever family member would come, do the session with the counselor, the client, and then they would have to have their visit elsewhere off property.
Okay. Staying on the visitors theme there, so if they do have visitors, where do they go?
We encourage them to look for places to go. In Wilkes-Barre, a lot of times they'll go to the mall. When it's nice, they go to the parks. Sometimes they go bowling. Here they have, the recovery bank is big. That's an availability as well.
So they're not allowed to have vehicles, but
They're not allowed
they're
vehicles.
required to have jobs. How do they get to their jobs?
Public transportation.
Okay, and you're not on a bus route there?
Well, we're close. We're close. They have to go get the bus, but
They have to go
yeah.
down the main avenue to get the
Yeah.
bus? Okay.
I don't know if anything comes up into the neighborhood. I'd
No.
have to talk to the transit.
Yeah. No, it doesn't come up that route right there. How do you know their background's coming in? So, I mean, you're limited on what you accept. So let's stay there. If I'm coming in and I have a history of, I'll say this and that, how do you know it and what do you accept? And I'm sure you answered that part already, but I want to go over it again.
Well, the big intensive biopsychosocial history and physical med sheet and all the stuff from the primary rehab they were in has to come to me to look at first.
But how about my criminal background?
Well, that's on there as well. And then when I get to the criminal background part, I look at it as well, and then lo and behold, there's always Google, so we find out a lot of things.
Do you have anyone slip through the cracks with that?
You know what? No, we haven't.
Okay.
I've rejected quite a few. But because we're small, there's always a lot of people on the list, so I can really kind of go in and,
Sure. If they're evicted for a specific reason, where do they go? I mean, if I'm in there and...
what we try to do if we're going to discharge them is we try to find them someplace to go. They're not really discharged unless they commit pretty big offenses. If it's a drug and alcohol issue, we're going to get them back into rehab. So we'll call, we have relationships, they go back to rehab. If it's, God forbid, a mental health issue, the nice thing about Scranton is community counseling now has that little behavioral health unit that they could go to. If there's something that they did, like physical violence to another staff member, again, I'll offer them something, but that might be limited to the shelter.
I'm sorry, I could
The
last.
shelter, if like they put their hands on somebody, because no matter what rehab I call, they're not going to take them if they just...
So they could end up on the street,
Well, we try not to, at least
but they can end up on the street.
very rarely. Most of our guys come off the street to come with us. So, I mean, we don't just say, get out. We try to find, sometimes their family will take them by that point. So we really kind of dig into it. I don't like just get out.
No, I wouldn't want to see that. That's my question.
Right. We had a guy that we had to get rid of because he was using Kratom. And Kratom's a gas station drug. It's not like, but I wasn't really willing to keep him there with that once we found out he was using it. So we ended up letting him stay a couple of days till the sober house bed opened up. We're flexible that way. I don't ever want to get out now kind of attitude, because that undoes everything we've done. And even if they made a mistake, Does it have to ruin everything? Our goal is to take them and keep them from being homeless.
I'm almost done.
Yeah, what was that, the court reporter asked for, what was that drug?
Kratom?
And you do have staff 24 hours, that was one of my things.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I was going to say if they work, is there curfew?
Pardon me?
Is there a curfew?
Oh, yeah. Monday through Friday, they have to be in at 11. That gives them some leeway if they're doing a meeting and want to talk to people afterwards. And, well, Monday through Thursday, it's 11. Friday and Saturday, it's till 12. And Sunday, it's back to 11 again. There's AA dances and AA things that go longer. So in order for them to attend those things, we extended the curfew a little bit at night.
And the same thing with employment, you'd extend it for employment.
Extended for, it depends on, they need to get a job that allows them to be home by curfew. Because if they don't, then they can't then the counseling and the AA part, there's no room for. And if that's the case, we're the wrong place for them.
So they really, and technically, they really can't have anything but a day shift job because
Day shift
public
and
transportation shuts down.
And food service jobs, because a lot of times they're over at 9 or 10, and if they can find a way back. You know, every now and then, I got a call from one of the guys, he's doing some security, and he did security for the Penn State game last week. Well, that was a long game. He called, he said, this isn't, I'm like, okay. You know, so I let him have me and get home until after 1. We drug tested him that day and the next day. And I just chatted with him about, you know, trying not to do that if you can help it.
Okay, and one last one. Did you look at any other areas in the city to place this home?
No, because Shirley already owns the property. And it needs some fixing up, so we figured before
I was just
we
gonna say,
did that,
yeah.
we dump into this and it just makes it easier.
Okay, thank you. Again, that's
You're
me.
welcome.
Good.
You said you have Suboxone for the people to take, right?
What, I didn't hear you?
Suboxone?
Suboxone.
Oh,
You keep it locked
Suboxone.
up?
We're not licensed for that, no.
I know, but you said they take it.
Sometimes they do take it. They're on MAT. That's prescribed by a physician. They'll get like a week's supply or whatever. It gets locked in the bedroom. It's a film strip, so they're,
Is it a strip or is it a pill? Or you have both?
most of the time what we see is a strip.
Okay.
And we're seeing less and less Suboxone because they're all going towards the shots. The rehab is pushing the shot. We're pushing the shot because it's so much easier. And occasionally somebody's on the Suboxone and, you know, we have that policy for that. But we do not prescribe it, and we encourage them to try the injections if they can, because they go to the clinic, get the injection, they're done for the month.
My concern with the whole project, and I'm very familiar with the area, there's 3 schools within walking distance of that house. And the risk of a relapse or one of your clients, like you had an incident in Wilkes-Barre, there's many, many children walking home from school and many, many children in that area.
There's a lot of children where we are now, and we haven't.
There's 3 schools, 3 big schools, a high school, a middle school, and an elementary school, right within walking distance of that
We have
house.
the same thing in Wilkes-Barre, 2 blocks down. is
And
the-
Wilkes-Barre has its problems.
And we haven't had any issues with our guys. They stay in the
You
back.
said you had one
If there's going to
incident.
be a discharge, it's not like get out and give them any chance to harm little kids. It's just that, and you know what, our guys aren't, they're not going to do that. Because we screen them ahead of time to make sure they don't
That doesn't
have-
guarantee anything, though.
Pardon me?
The screening doesn't guarantee anything. People screen people, the airport screens people, and they still get on.
I get it, but then they work with us afterwards. So if they have those kind of tendencies, I think we're going to start to see them. I mean, like I said, there's schools right by us. We have kids walking from the bus back and forth in front of the house most of the time. Now, in Wilkes-Barre, our guys usually hang out in the backyard. We don't really let them out on the front porch too often because we just don't want it to be a hangout like that. It's very, welcoming, and we let them go out there, of course, with trick-or-treating, but most of the time they're in the backyard.
Is there anyone here to give testimony on this case?
Oh, the one other thing I wanted to say is, in this setting, they squeal on each other all the time. So if somebody knows somebody's
That's not always a
problem,
good thing.
they're going to tell us. Happens all the time. Okay, I'm sorry.
Is there anyone here to give testimony on this case? There is not.
Well, before we vote,
I just have a few more exhibits to go through,
ahead.
just to maybe alleviate more concerns.
What about the neighbors that were here? You guys want to go speak? Oh, they do. Yes, he did ask.
Do you want to speak? We have a neighbor here that would like to offer some testimony.
Joe Loyek, L-O-Y-E-K.
Or raise your right hand, sir, please.
I do. Joe, Joseph. Loyek, L-O-Y-E-K. 1302 West Locust Street. My property is around the corner from Alice's, and I guess I'm the spokesman for the neighborhood today because nobody else showed up. I don't have a problem with the facility itself as long as everything that we heard here today is true. From my neighborhood standpoint, and one of the big concerns was the kids, because there's also a Head Start facility close by there too. But I think that's taken care of. The big thing with our neighbors is the property is really dilapidated. And I have a picture of it if you wanted to see it. But it's been, before Alice, it was owned by somebody else. I don't know who, but it's in ill repair for at least 20 years. And so my concern is the exterior of the building as well as I don't know what the interior looks like, but it sounds to me like from the regulations they have to abide by that they're going to need a lot of work inside. But the exterior is in horrible shape. Now, having a previous conversation with the owner, she assured me that it's going to be taken care of and it's going to be made beautiful. So from the neighborhood standpoint, if that's true, we'll all be happy with that. The other thing that concerns me in terms of the cost of the repairs is we haven't heard anything about the revenue stream for this organization. And I'd like to know where it comes from.
okay. I have a question for you, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they can answer that when they come back up and speak. How long has the current owner owned that property? Do you know?
She told me 8 years.
Okay.
Before that, it used to be a convent.
And has anyone lived in that property during that 8 years? Is it rented out?
There's always been somebody in there.
Okay, and it's in that condition for the last 8 years?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is that block that house is on, is that mostly single-family residential houses there?
It's a combination of single families, a lot of double houses side by side, doubles. It's a typical West Side neighborhood. The houses built back in that area were big houses, big double. My house used to be a double before I converted to a single. So it's a typically same, the neighborhood up there.
Thank you.
Okay,
Anything else?
that's it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? You said you had a couple of things, you said?
Yeah, thank you. So to address the two concerns, one, the facility is paid through these approved state agencies, okay? So it's no private pay, it's through the state. And two, the owners are going to fix up this property. DDAP, the Department of Drug and Alcohol, they have a rigorous inspection process. And the property does need repair, there's no doubt about that. It's going to be completely revamped. There's going to be siding placed on it, new siding. The owner actually said that the neighbors could help pick out the color of the siding. We mean that. It's going to be completely revamped. The inside will pass all state inspections, or we can't operate if it doesn't. So
Those repairs that you're talking about, is that paid for by the state or the owner?
no, those are owner repairs.
Okay.
Those are gonna
I
be-
just had concern
Yeah.
when I heard that for 8 years it's been in that condition, so I have a little, why was it left go 8 years, and how can I be sure that it's going to move forward and be maintained once this, but I mean, if there's state regulations, I get that part of it.
Yeah, and it will, and we actually promised the neighborhood that it will, and the owners are people of their words, but they don't have a choice anyways, the state's coming in.
Who else in the neighborhood did you speak with when you say you promised the neighborhood that you would?
We spoke to,
Because I live in the neighborhood,
okay, we
and I
spoke,
didn't get any notice of anything.
we spoke to William and Paula Drabala at 818 12th Ave. We spoke to the parish council at St. Peter and Paul Church. We spoke to...
Which is almost non-existent now, the parish.
Okay. We spoke to Joseph and Christine. And we spoke to, I believe that was it.
And how
So
did you
three-
determine who you were going to speak to?
Just people that were on that street abutting the, knocking on doors and people abutting the property.
One of the concerns I have is I'm looking at the requirements for variance, and you're not meeting any of them for a variance for this. It's a good project. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, we have one in South Scranton that's in the process. I mean, but there's nothing here that you meet to obtain. And as you know, I'm sure you know, on page 146, our book, section 10.3, there's 5 reasons given for the variance. There are no unique physical circumstances or conditions that stop the building from being used. Property can be used as something else, it can be used as an apartment house, so that rules that one out. There's no hardship created on the appellant. The owner has it, she's been renting it out. And the variance, if authorized, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. You say it won't. I have my feelings that it will change it. And the last one, the variance is authorized, will represent a minimum variance necessary to afford relief and will represent the least modification possible of the regulation issue. So I don't feel that you meet any of the 5 for a variance on this project.
Okay. Well,
That's just my opinion as one member.
no, I understand. Your zoning ordinance says that the findings are to be made if relevant. So the first 2 are out because there is no relevancy as to the shape of the lot or anything
Right.
like that. So that wouldn't be relevant. So this comes down to, is it going to alter the essential character of the neighborhood? That's going to be, if this was an appealable issue, that would be the issue I'd be arguing
Yep.
in court.
Yep.
So that's what we need to determine. The other ones really aren't relevant.
Well, the hardship, the owner is the one that's going to be leasing the property. So
Sure, which is
the hardship
right.
does come into play there.
So if I just may just present the rest of the...
Yeah, please, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I understand the concern, but I'm just trying to alleviate it the best I can. So I just want to go through I already went through the floor plan with you, and like I said, it would be the state requirements would certainly comply with all state requirements. I have marked as Exhibit 2 a parking plan that was done by Bob Mendola and his people over there. So if you look at Exhibit 2, just to come full circle on the parking variance, so the standard is that you need one spot for every on-duty employee. So we are actually putting 2 spaces in the back to comply with the on-duty employees, because we'll never have more than 2 on-duty employees there. One would be a on-staff tech member, and the other would be a counselor. And the statute also requires that you have to have 1 spot per 2 residents. So that would, if we're having 10 residents, we would require 5 spots. So that's where the variance comes in. We would want a variance for the 5 spots for the 10 residents because no one has a vehicle. So that's where we're getting the variance in that regard from. We would have the 2 spaces in the back, which provides for on-site turnaround in and out from the back, and then the other 5 would be accepted pursuant to a variance request. As I indicated, I don't need the impervious surface because Bob Mendola calculated that even with the new parking plan, there'd be a 59% impervious surface, which is under your 75% requirement. So I don't need that. And then in regard to a group care facility, we have a definition of group care facility that says a facility providing shelter, counseling, and other rehab services in a family-like environment for more than 9 and less than 15 residents, plus minimum supervisory personnel as may be required to meet the licensing agency. So clearly the testimony established that we would have between 9 and 15. We would have counseling and those similar services on site. And we would have minimum supervisory personnel. Somebody would always be on site to check for drugs and alcohol, and to also offer support as needed 24 hours a day, which is important. It also says the group care facility, the residents may not be legally related to the operators or supervisors, and by reason of chemical or alcohol dependency require a minimal level of supervision, but do not require medical or nursing care. So we meet that. No one's going to be related to any other people in there so they could get special treatment or, have a hard time leaving the property, things like that. There's, again, minimal level of supervision, but there's no medical or nursing care. And it's the final stage for a group care facility. It says must be licensed and or approved by the PA Department of Public Welfare, which we are. And again, that's how we're paid through those agencies. Now, I understand the concern. I agree with you. The variance finding is that, a big one is not altering the essential character or neighborhood or district in which the property is located. And yeah, just to give you, you're familiar with the area. To give you an overview, across the street from the facility, there's the church parking lot, and then there's a vacant lot. So there's nothing really across the street. If you're standing on the porch looking out on 12th Ave, to the left, we have a double block, which has a total of 6 bedrooms. They're both fully occupied. I have no idea how many people are living in there because when I was at the property, there were cars in and out. There were people all over the porch. I have no idea how many are in there, but there's at least 6 bedrooms according to the MLS. On the other side of us is a single-family residence. That's Paula Gerbala. And then 2 properties down, we have the church facility. We have the Holy Rosary lot, and then we have the actual church across the street from there. And if you look, I submitted, which I marked as Exhibit 3, we have a letter from Father Paisley, who is in full support of the project. He's welcoming the Sanctuary House with open arms. And again, I don't know the extent of the church's programs or masses there, but he did say that they are completely welcome there and he would welcome the project. And I will say, just one thing that you were saying before about, the children walking around and all this stuff, I will say that I watch the news. I mean, there's a drug crisis in Lackawanna County. I mean, there's no question. There's a gang crisis in Scranton. I mean, I listen to the DA. I hear the DA talk. There's issues in Scranton. I completely understand that, okay? And we're just trying to do some good here. I actually, if you look at my exhibit marked as number 4, we have a letter from Judge Barres, treatment court, saying that this would be a great asset to our community, given all the issues in Scranton. I mean, he welcomes it. I mean, Scranton needs this kind of stuff. I've been practicing real estate law for 18 years, and especially in Scranton. And one of my most common calls from landlords up to the current time is, hey, I have drug activity on my property. How do I evict them? They're paying their rent, but I know there's drugs there. That's a common call, We're giving you a house of 10 people.
But that's one of my concerns there, is because I live in that neighborhood and I know that there is drug activity going on in that neighborhood. And there was just a big fight on Elm Street, right down the street, Saturday night.
And I'm looking at it the other way as well. We're trying to do.
So you might be putting a house right in the middle of temptation.
Well, I mean, again, it's a voluntary program. These men, are trying to do better. They want to do better, and it's an issue in Scranton, and sure, I mean, there's temptation everywhere. It's going to be hard to not tempt anybody, that has a drug problem in Scranton. I mean, I get that. In Wilkes-Barre, any of these cities. I mean, but I will say, here's the thing. So, in your zoning ordinance, your new zoning ordinance, okay. The only permitted zone for this type of facility is highway commercial. I mean, you heard Anna talk. That doesn't work. You can't institutionalize these guys. You can't just put them out in an industrial park or up on the highway. I mean, they're not gonna prosper. They need community. I mean, they need that group setting, with a residential neighborhood. It's how this has worked. That's why it's a halfway house. So again, I understand the concern, but there's really no perfect setting for this. We did check. Judge Barres is on board. The church is on board. That is right there. I mean, it's not like we didn't try to feel what's going on in the community, and we feel it would work.
I get they're all on board. I think the concern is not that it's not needed. Some of us personally know that it's needed. It's the location. I mean, and that's what comes into play. I don't think there's one on the board that would disagree that, as you said, it's needed in Scranton, it's needed in Wilkes-Barre, it's needed in Hazel, it's needed all over the place. But sometimes neighborhoods just aren't the best place for change. You're changing, to me, you're changing the complexion of the neighborhood by you're putting 10 individuals in a house. Whether they're good, bad, indifferent, or anything like that, it just changes the scape of that house. How long? One more question, and I don't want to, keep going. How long has Sanctuary House been in business? Like, is that your first one down in Wilkes-Barre?
Yes.
How long?
2 years.
Okay.
October 2022, call it 2 years.
Okay. Thank you. I'm good.
And just to finish, the rest of my exhibits as Exhibit 5 are more letters of support from NEPA Pride Coalition, Endless Mountain, Clear Vision, caseworkers from treatment court, all just basically reiterating, again, you understand that it's needed. I understand what you're saying, but again, we're looking at it a different way. We're looking at it as a positive aspect to a community. They're good neighbors. They are. These guys are screened. You heard them screened. They have no violent pasts. They're looking to better their lives. They're looking to contribute to society. You can't push them out. You can't push them out of the area. I mean, they're not going to get the help if you put them out in highway commercial. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Thank you.
I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Board Member McDermott?
No.
Board Member D'Antona?
No.
Board Member Morris?
Yes.
Board Member Gattens?
No.
Chairman Walsh?
No, vote of 4-1, you've been denied.
Thank you.
Please call the next case.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have Kristal Borge seeks variance to convert single-family home into a mixed-use property for a tattoo shop at 1642 Sanderson Avenue, R-9 zone. Would you please step up?
I swear. My name is Kristal Borge. I live at 1642 Sanderson Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania. I do have a few things for you, if it's okay for me to hand them over.
Absolutely. Yeah, bring them up.
So I do have a few things in there that I can walk you through. I don't know if you'd like me to plead my case first, or how you, yes? Okay. All right, so I'll start with my letter. To whom it may concern, the justification for this request is the desire to open a new business. As a woman of Chilean descent and dual citizenship, I explored my roots by taking a gap year and traveling to Santiago. There I fell in love with the tattoo scene, as you can see, where home-based studios are extremely common. I was unable to secure an apprenticeship, but was determined to learn the craft, so I wound up teaching myself. I took several online courses, practiced on myself and a few brave friends, and over the last 6 years have honed my skills completing hundreds of tattoos. I have been a featured artist during guest spots in other shops and have gotten my bloodborne pathogen certification every single year since I've moved back to the States. Priding myself on cleanliness and following very strict health and safety procedures. I moved to Scranton last year, and it is my dream to bring a taste of Chilean artistry to the Electric City. While technically attached to my home, the studio I wish to open will have its own separate entrance and will act as its own entity. Currently, the property is strictly residential use, but I'm hoping to change that to mixed use of commercial and residential. The studio room itself is about 233 square feet, while the bathroom is about 46 square feet. There are 7 parking spaces available on my lot, and I plan to be by appointment only, so street parking won't be an issue. The remainder of the house will continue to be a single-family home, completely separate from the studio and bathroom. At no point will clients need to enter the home proper for any reason. The only setbacks are the zoning being strictly residential, and we are about 2 blocks away from any commercial use zones. And I've also seen a lot of shops in homes around here, so I was hoping that this could also be one. The next thing that should be there for you should be the neighbors affected. I did go around my neighborhood. I walked around and talked to everyone, gave them some apple cider donuts, and let them know my plans to come to the zoning board today and plead my case. And so far, everybody seems on board with the idea of having a studio in the neighborhood. I don't think anyone showed up to say that they're against it. The following paper should be my federal tax ID number, just so you know I am taking this extremely seriously. The next thing should be my bloodborne pathogen certification. That's just for you to see that I have completed the courses. I just wanted to let you know that I am still certified, and I will continue to be for the remainder of my days. After that should be some statistics. I've done some extensive research on how much I might be making. Usually my average per tattoo is around $300 to $400. So these are all of the numbers that I would be saying yearly, hopefully, at the lowest numbers. So that average is usually my lower average for tattoos. So those are some projections, some balancing sheets. And if you have any questions for me, please let me know. I also threw in an article about queer-owned tattoo shops because I am also queer, a woman, and I own this tattoo shop, and hopefully it will be a tattoo shop, and just how that is furthering communities and bringing people together and just involving more minorities and just people that are part of the LGBTQ community. And my goal is to hopefully get the community more involved and just make everyone feel more welcome overall.
Good. Where's your parking located?
It is on my lot, so it's just my driveway.
You can't fit 7 cars in your driveway.
I can show you a picture, actually.
Well, you can only put 1 in your driveway because it's called stacking.
It's called what? I'm sorry?
Stacking.
Okay.
So you have car after car after car, and if this top car has to get out, then everyone has to
Right,
come out.
so what we would do is park them diagonally so that they can go ahead and leave.
I don't think your driveway's wide enough for that.
Well, I can show you a photo.
I was at your property.
Huh?
I was at your property. We go out and look at the
Oh,
properties.
that was you? I was,
Well, I don't know what day you've seen. I'm sure everyone here was at the property.
okay.
So I was there day before yesterday.
Yes, someone was taking photos. I
That
like,
was
who
me
is this?
probably, or someone else was there too. So my concern, I have a couple concerns. Naturally, the parking.
I'd be happy to make it a bigger parking if needed. However, whatever I need to comply with, I will, so.
I got a quick question. How many employees? Is it just yourself or?
It's just myself for now. I will have an apprentice. I'm hoping to have up to 1 other employee being my apprentice when she does complete her training.
The concern, okay, let's stay off my concern for now. You're going to have signage out front, like a sign for your business?
I would like to, yes.
Okay. Will it be lit up?
No.
What's your hours going to be?
My hours are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
every day.
How many, 7 days a week?
Yes, by appointment only.
Okay. The concern I have, let me be straightforward with you. You gave a great presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
Is we're taking a residential area that has no business in it right there and putting a business in it. And then if you decide you want to expand and go to a bigger place and everything like that, that variance stays with that house. So another business can go in there. Might not be as good as yours. Might be a bad, just say a bad business. That's not, it's detrimental to the neighborhood. So I have a little problem with me saying yes to a variance for this, for the location that it is. So.
Completely understandable.
That's all I have.
If I may, I
Sure,
will say
sure.
I do intend on living in this house for the rest of my life. I don't plan on selling this home. I do want this to be for my children in the future, so.
Sure.
I don't plan on having anyone else run a business out of this. And also, when I do decide to hopefully upgrade into an actual commercial setting, I don't plan on having any other businesses in that home.
Okay.
And if possible, I'll move it back to residential, if that's something that is needed.
Is there a reason why you're now looking in a smaller commercial space now?
Yes, so personally, coming back from Chile, I saw that there were a lot of home-based studios, and they're just a lot more personal. Being in tattoo shops, there's a lot of guy talk, specifically sexual things that make women uncomfortable or just people uncomfortable in general. So having it home-based just makes me feel safer, usually helps my clients feel safer because they know that they're coming into a safe space with other people, cameras. They know nothing is going to happen that could potentially harm them. So for me personally, that's why I prefer to start there. My husband just lost his job, so it's up to me to wear the pants now, so I'm really just hoping for this to take off.
My concern too is it is in a residential neighborhood, 100% residential, no businesses at all.
Yes.
And like Bob said, to allow one business to come in, you're not there 5 years from now, that stays with that home, that approved business.
My block meets with Green Ridge, and 1 block down is commercial. And then the other way, about 1 block down, is another home that is actual surgical, like a plastic surgery place. So it doesn't really seem like it's strictly residential around where I live personally.
Well, if you look at your block only, the left side and the right side, residential.
I mean,
Not,
if you go to the left side and then just down one block, there's a shop right there.
and if you go down towards Greenridge Corners, it's a R14 zone, and a tattoo parlor is allowed in a large area, Electric Street down to Woodlawn Street on Sanderson Avenue, that large section, and then going towards the plot section, Sanderson to Amelia on Ray Street, that's R14. That's a tattoo parlor is allowed in an R14, and you have one 2 blocks away. You have the zone. I don't know, naturally, you probably want to keep it in your home, but like they said, any chance of going where it's permitted, 2 blocks away from your home, 3 blocks away from
So I
your
don't
home.
have the money to do that, otherwise I would. That is why I want to start out of my home, but I do want to upgrade into a commercial setting. I don't want this to be forever in the neighborhood, if that's what you're asking.
I'm looking at your house right now, and Mr. Morris, myself, we're looking at the parking. I don't know what you could do to even, the last thing I'm going to vote for is allow parking in the front of a house like that, like, and we can create a parking lot in the front. You think your neighbors approve your thing, they'll come out after that, if that happens.
I mean, I wouldn't mind talking to them if that's.
But you don't have the land to do it. You don't have the footage to do it. You'd end up taking half your lawn off the front of your house to do it. I don't know. That's all I have. That's all I have. Anybody else here?
Dan, how many spots would she need for this with her and one apprentice in a single-family home?
1, 2, 3.
I should, it says one for every 200 square feet of space being used, being accessed by clientele. My worry is,
Because she's going to have an apprentice, so you're going to need 2 parking spots.
you're
for
going to
that?
need 2 parking spots, yeah.
And one for the house.
Well, the house is a residence, so you don't need off-street parking for a house.
So
Most of us
even though
don't.
the studio is called out separate from the house?
Right.
Okay. And she needs 1 for visitors, or the clients?
1 for, yes.
So she needs 3.
So she would need 3, because I'm going to ask you, the maximum you'd have there would be you,
Right, since
your
it's by
apprentice, and...
appointment only.
Right,
Yeah.
and an appointment, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you and the apprentice be there at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, 3 then.
What's behind your house?
A pool, a big backyard for my dog to run around in.
Okay.
We can always stick my car in the backyard if necessary. I won't let you down.
Yeah. Nobody else here, right, for testimony?
Is there anyone here to give testimony in this case? Come on up.
Yes. First name is Amanda, last name is Demasi. D-E-M-A-S-I. All right, awesome. So, as you guys have met Kristal, she's really looking to take a step into the community, and tattooing is a very sacred art, and I think it's very important to think of how we think about small businesses starting, because the future is something bigger and providing a bigger, better space that is more commercial. But before we can get there, these smaller, more intimate spaces to build clientele, to build trust, and create a space in which is safe for people to get art on their bodies that is permanent is very important. in providing that kind of space for the community, not only for everyone, but also for minorities, it is enriching that area. It's also providing a business in which LGBTQ and queer people can come to talk to people who are in career forces that may change lives, career forces that help body positivity and, you know, help people be their better selves. I understand that parking is the issue. I'm aware of the driveway myself, but as people who are going to be doing things by appointment only, where there's contractual, like, purchase being had, I don't think the overcrowding would be a popular, because the point of them going there is to have a place where they're having a one-on-one experience and knowing their artist more intimately. And therefore, those kind of spaces in which you're tattooing, yeah, you could go to some commercial shop. I have had my skin torn up by a random man whom I thought I had a conversation with and communicated with. But those kind of shops can be very toxic and not good for the community in some ways. I'm sure they have clientele that see them, but when you're looking to open a small business that's trying to actually enrich an area, it's important to put your beliefs behind this and see how you can help them. Because even with the parking, you're looking at 2 cars stacked, but 2 of the cars ahead will be employee and or owner cars. So there is no traffic issue to get in or out.
I don't think anyone on this board has any doubt that it's not a good business.
Good.
Our concern is there's laws that we have to follow too when it comes to the zoning.
Oh, I'm aware.
I mean, and then hence the variance. But there's certain things like that last case that have to be met to have that variance. And I mean, her plan sounds perfect, it really does. But we have to look at the whole picture too. So I mean, if it's a yes vote, great, and if it's a no vote, it's nothing personal against that business, you know?
I hope you can just take into account that those cars will be parked there and they are by appointments only, so therefore, like, you're looking at a more intimate one-on-one experience rather than you know, a bunch of people just showing up and asking to, like, get tattooed and because they felt like it. That's not the...
But and answer me honestly, I mean, this is a good conversation we're having in this case. If it reaches out to the various communities that you spoke of and everything, and I was a member of that community, I knew I had some place to go and hang out and talk and you know, have a good time. Isn't it possible that's what could happen? Friends could stop, like friends, and it could start stopping over and visiting as she's working, or just, you know, and the number of cars increases then. And so we're looking at trying to figure out what we could do with your parking.
Understandable.
So, and that's, as far as I'm concerned, I think that's the only thing we're looking at.
Well, with it being a private studio, if anyone was to just show up, that would be a violation of Kristal's property.
But
so
if they're
therefore-
friends of Kristal, look, I'll say I'm Kristal. If they're friends of mine that come in, the last thing I do is throw them out. You know what I mean?
I mean, if it was my friends or my business, and my business is a priority because that's how you make money, I would choose my business over shenanigans, because there's a lot of time, money, energy being put into this.
Sure.
There are pictures of the studio, which you could see that have been worked on, because there is something that's being provided here in terms of comfort, and that is one of the primary points of the business. So if something like that was to be happening, I can be assured, knowing, like, if I was being tattooed by Kristal, she would ask those people to leave, because those are what the business principles are stood upon, rather than a bunch of delinquents showing up and ruining someone's appointment and someone's experience. Because, like I said, it's a very individual self-expression thing. It's not something to just be like,
I agree.
here or there
I agree. We're not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
know? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Can we do this parking or?
Mr. Chairman, I just have to echo Mr. Gatt. Although I have no issue with the business, putting a parking lot in the front yard on that street, and on any residential street, changes the character of the neighborhood. And tattooing is allowed by our ordinance in about 5 different zones. And this ordinance is less than a year old, so I think from the city's perspective, we want to keep it what the ordinance says. And that's a strictly residential zone, and it does not allow for that type of home business. And there are zones that do allow for that type of home business. This happens not to be one of them.
Thank you.
Make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Board Member McDermott?
No.
Board Member D'Antona?
You guys gave a great presentation, and I feel for you, but I'm going to have to vote no.
Board Member Morris?
No.
Board Member Gattens?
No.
Chairman Walsh?
No. Vote of 5-0, you've been denied. Good luck, hopefully finding a different spot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have Melli Realty LLC seeks variance to use property as truck storage and office space at 1638 Kaiser Avenue, end zone. Will you please step up? Just to keep in mind, to keep the board updated, they came before in front of the board, well, they didn't come in front of the board, I should say.
yeah.
The past two times it got tabled, and then we had voted on denying it because of the no-show, so they came again because it was just a scheduling issue on their end. They just weren't able to make it. So I guess right now at this point in the beginning is, I guess we should decide first, is this something that the board wants to make a decision on, or are we going to stand on a decision from previous times?
The decision from the previous time was that the case was over?
It was denied because they already had not come twice.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
yeah.
speaking for myself, that's what
Yeah,
I'm going to stand on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There was no show twice, so the second time we
Well,
issued
we could take a vote on it, but
denial.
I'm going to be straightforward and
How
vote.
did it get back on the schedule?
Yeah.
They reapplied and they paid the fee again.
Okay, so.
Okay, so it's new
If they
then.
reapplied, then I guess we'll hear it. then.
As
I
long-
wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
they
Just-
they paid the fee,
Yeah.
they're allowed
yeah.
a hearing, yeah.
I misunderstood what Abraham was saying.
You want to be sworn in?
Yes. Nariman Kerimoglu. Nariman Kerimoglu. Lower.
Yeah, spell it both slower. M-A-R,
Nariman. I can give you my ID if you want.
and last name
Kerimoglu. Do you need ID?
You may proceed.
Should I explain why I was not here for the first two times, or we're good?
No, you could start over. Just tell us your
Okay,
case.
Good deal. Good evening, everyone. So I was here prior, a couple months ago probably, to get a variance for the dealership parking lot. And then while we were working on it, a company approached us with the request to rent the building and the lot. It's a Walmart, and they're trying to expand and obviously looking for space to park their trucks. So the building, I would say, as you know, it has two sections. One section is the front, and then the second section is the back, or the middle and the right side. So the middle and a garage would be their shower bathroom with laundry room. The front they would be using for office space, and then the entire parking spot would be truck and employee parking.
And who's the business again? I'm sorry.
Walmart,
Walmart. What kind of trucks?
day cabs, single axle or double axle. Single or double drive axles. No sleepers, just the short ones. No trailers.
Just the cabs?
Just the cabs,
cab.
yep.
Where's your, so, Do you want 40, I see you have 40 trucks. How many trucks are going to be going in and out of there at a time?
I mean, I'll put it this way. We tried to fit 40 trucks,
Right.
but it's impossible. So it's probably going to be 35,
So
realistically.
will them trucks be all leaving and then returning every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
going to
where-
be fenced.
Where's the drivers going to park?
Where the driver's going to park?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it won't be full all the time as drivers travel. So when one leaves, the other one will come and park in its spot. So the front of the property is kind of available. There are, I think, 8 spots. On the side, in the front of the building, you can park maybe 2, if you can, maybe 3. But then the rest would be obviously moving around at the truck parking lot.
And these trucks will be coming 24 hours a day?
I assume so, yeah.
Okay. And will they be idling to warm up? Will they sit there and idle?
Usually, I mean, if a driver owns their truck, they sit and they idle. But if he makes money off of miles and time, they just take off. I mean, I have 18 trucks just on the road in Taylor on 6 South Kaiser Avenue. Wintertime specifically, I ask them and beg them to warm up the engine before they take
Sure.
off, but no. they
How
just-
close is the closest house residence to this lot?
To be honest, I mean, on that side street, it's across the street, you can say.
Okay.
But on the Kaiser, I haven't looked. But I mean, not.
I don't think there's anything across on Kaiser.
So as it sits this side, like this street, there are a couple residentials.
On the side street there is. Okay. So no one's going to be sleeping in that building,
No.
correct?
No.
Are
I'm
you
not
go-
even. I'm not even sure if they would be operating 24 hours because I don't know. I mean, if you've been to Taylor Walmart
Yeah.
store, you would probably see their trucks actually parked right there. So my assumption is they're looking for the parking lot for those trucks to be moved.
Is this going to be fenced in?
Yeah.
Are you
Cameras.
Are you going to have lighting?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to pave this?
Pavement, I'm trying to save money. So I mean, if we need to pave it, if it will be a requirement, yes. If not, then milling, and we'll put like oil over it, at least for the winter.
An entrance and exit will be on the side street, not on
Entrance and
Kaiser.
exit, yes, it would be in between our building and our neighbor's building. So there's that space in between.
That
There-
driveway in between?
Yeah,
Yep.
there's a meter that we requested by a utility company to move to the other side, and we're working on it.
Is that off Kaiser or not? Is that off Kaiser or not?
Any entrance or exit off Kaiser? No.
It's all going to be fenced.
Okay,
I mean,
it'll be
it
all
will
fenced.
come to that street and, I mean, the intersection street, I should say, the Kaiser Avenue and that whatever street we're located on. So they will be hitting Kaiser off of the light, traffic
At the
light.
traffic light.
Yeah.
I have a question. The trucks, are they going to be fully inspected, up to date, or is this might turn into like a truck graveyard for Walmart to park their trucks that maybe they're waiting to repair?
No. We're not gonna no maintenance will be happening at that facility. They have a maintenance shop over in Tobyhanna, so they usually run stuff out of there.
And besides trucks, will you be storing cars there? I mean, I know The office space has, it might have employees, so I understand some cars might have to be parked there for the employees, but will people be able to store cars there as well, or no?
Yes, as the drivers will be coming, depending, if they get a ride, obviously there won't be a car, but if they're coming with their own vehicle, they'll park their car and take the truck. So it's like exchange.
So there's no vehicle maintenance of any kind going to take place on this property?
That's correct. If we can get it approved and if they will lease it from us, I'm happy with the tenant.
Anyone here to give testimony on this case? Come on up.
I do. John Drobnicki, John, Delta Romeo Oscar Bravo, Nancy Igloo, Charlie Kilo Igloo.
Try me again, I lost that completely.
Okay. Delta Romeo Oscar Bravo, Nancy Igloo, Charlie Kilo Igloo.
Got it.
Good? You may proceed, go ahead.
Yes. I'm a close neighbor. It's Electric City Park. It's one whole square. I'm on the opposite side. I'm on Ferdinand. And back of me, there's an alley. It's 12 and a half feet wide as that alley. And it goes from Sweeney Avenue to Kaiser Avenue. There was a drug store next door, which I'm concerned about because that started out, it's piled with junk and everything else. There's motors all over the place, trailers. And I'm concerned a lot about noise and another place turned into a junkyard like that. And before it was, there was some used cars there and they sold scooters. It was a nice place. And since then, they've taken everything out, they've cleaned it up. The place is a lot nicer now. I don't see how they can park trucks on 12 and a half feet of right-of-way. The state owns the property next to it in between that and the rug store, and there's another state property on the other side of that. I don't see how I can fit 30, you might be able to fit 5 full-time tractors in there.
Did you show this, do you have a copy of that to show this gentleman?
Right here. And it says 40 trucks, but as I explained, we're gonna fit whatever we can. So within this frame, and obviously the building is here. The entrance will be from the side.
The side. All right.
Should I? As I mentioned earlier, I'm just showing on the picture where the trucks would be entering. So this is the Kaiser Avenue. This is the way the building is sitting. They will be driving in, pulling in, and the space will be used front of the Kaiser, the center of the lot, and whatever we can use on the neighbor's side. And as I said, it doesn't have to be 40, but whatever we can fit. As far as the place turning into junk, that's not the case with us because we are looking to. Can I swing to the other side?
Sure.
We're working on getting it actually in a better shape as far as improving the building with its roof, with AC, which is required by the customer, paving down the roads, and Walmart usually just parks their well-maintained equipment. Down the road on same Kaiser Avenue, I've heard this concern when we were starting the truck trailer service center in Taylor. So one of their residents questioned us the same way. Are you going to turn this into a junkyard? And we did promise that it won't be a junkyard and we will be operating the well-maintained truck equipment. And now, it's a successful business and it's pretty clean. We leveled it, we worked well. We have contracts with Walmart, Dollar General. I mean, obviously, we want to be presentable. And then we added another business, which is Roadrunner CDL Academy, truck driving school. So, I mean, when we get in, we take care of the property.
I mean, I'm welcome. But there's another issue I have. Right now, there's mud that goes down. I keep it clean. For 15 years, I've been keeping the mud off the top of this drain that comes down. And with trucks, without that being paved, that mud's going to even be more in there, coming down, probably plugging up that drain, that whole area where my neighbor's at. It's going to start flooding. And one of the reasons that isn't flooding now is I've kept it open for 15 years. I've been cleaning that alley. And so something's got to be, it has to be looked at, and it's got to be paved and well done. I mean, if it looks, the way I see it here, it looks neat. I'm happy. I welcome somebody coming in and making it look better. And if it looks as good as this, the way he's got these vehicles parked, I have no problem. But like I said, the noise, if it's overnight, things like this issue, if it's bright lights, because there's a little neighborhood here. It's a block. It's Electric City Park is what you'll see on your map. We all own homes around there. Mr. Norton had a business there for a long time. He kept his trucks parked. And like I said, I'm all for making it nicer. If he paves it and the drainage is good, and I'm worried about that alley not being blocked, because if this alley is blocked between you and the rug store, that means a fire truck or fire hose can't come up to take care of our properties in there. So, but if you keep it neat and quiet and not overly bright, and it looks nice like this, I'm okay. But I'm concerned about the fire alley and a drain that sits there that takes the water off of Kaiser Avenue when it comes down. And it has to be looked at and done right. That's all I say.
I mean, as far as the neighborhood goes, I'll take your information just to schedule an appointment and go over the property together over there so we can see the concern. The pavement, I mean, if the size of the lot requires us to put the drainage, obviously the drainage will be done. Initially, as I said, I'm trying to save money, so if I don't put the paving, we're gonna do milling, and the milling is the material. If it rains, it sucks it takes the water underneath, and they won't allow me to park the trucks in its current condition. The customer won't. So I mean, we'll have to figure out the way with the city, with the neighbors, and us together, what can be done to be.
That has to be figured out now.
Don.
Okay,
Is
I mean,
that a plating question?
if it has to,
Hang on.
My comment would be, I would ask the board if they're going to look favorably upon this, that we would condition the approval on having the city engineer review any improvements that would have to be made, A, for the surface of the parking, and B, for the traffic circulation there. Since they're not going out on the Kaiser Avenue, there's no highway occupancy permit, but the city would want to review the traffic circulation going in and out of there.
Well, I could tell you, before I vote on it, I do want to put a stipulation that it be paved.
Well, and our ordinance does require parking areas to provide a durable and dustless surface of concrete or a bituminous concrete surface constructed in accordance with. And even just putting milling material down, that's essentially, stormwater purposes, that's essentially an impervious surface, and you would have to do stormwater improvements there.
Either or, you're going to
Either or.
Yeah.
But I would ask that, yes, that you're required to be paved and have the proper stormwater management.
Now, does this have to go before the planning commission because of the size of that lot?
No, it's not technically a land development because there's no building.
But you
If they're
can,
building a new building there.
but you can make the condition that it's referred to the planning commission for their review.
Yeah.
You can do that.
And since it's going to be fenced in, I'm going to look at a buffer zone on that side street. So let me ask you a question, sir.
Yes.
Where do you live compared to, I'm going to hold this up.
I live catty corner.
Well, do you have this in front of you?
Sweeney. Well, he's on this corner, I'm on the opposite corner. If you
Are you across from this building or across from the lot?
If you look at it as a square.
Come here for a second.
Okay. If you look at the square
Here.
I'd rather do it up here. All right. This is drawing. Where are you? Here? You're down. Yeah, there's three here.
This is the occupancies here. So this is the property. This is the Kaiser.
Right. I'm right here, corner of Ferdinand and Sweetie. That's my three cars there. Ferdinand and Sweetie. Yeah. Ferdinand and Sweetie, got him. Where's that rug store?
That's back here, that's 1650, that's back,
Oh, okay.
that's here.
All right. And he's right here, that's the building that Mr. what?
Yeah, this is where the traffic light is. at
Okay, here's a light, light of Ferdinand.
Yep.
So that takes that whole square here. Here's that alley.
Yeah.
And right here is that rug store, which is now.
Yeah. So what Mr. Gatlin, where's your house? on that?
Okay. Where's Sweeney coming? This is Sweeney here, right?
That's Ferdinand.
Yeah, okay, where's Sweeney?
Sweeney's probably up here. You, on the same street as the rug shop?
No, that's Stanton.
Okay.
I'm on Ferdinand.
Oh, okay. So you're down further, you're down towards Peppers, down that way?
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm
okay.
on a corner.
Okay,
You
so
take a left.
the map might not go down that far,
Okay.
but, so you're down this way. So he'd be down, yeah. It's not gonna do much for him, but it would for some of the closer houses.
In other words, the alley coming in back of me comes right down from.
Right down from Kaiser, yeah.
Right. And it's a 12 and a half, because I have a map, it's 12 and a half foot right away. It's unpaved right now.
In lieu of the testimony, I'm going to want to put a contingency, two contingencies on this. One, that the lot be paved, and city engineer take a look at as far as drainage with the lot being paved, so it doesn't cause any flooding or detrimental to the neighbors
City
there.
engineer and planning?
City engineer.
If the board wishes, it could be referred to the planning commission. It would just be it would be a review by them. I don't think there would be any official approval that would be needed.
So why don't we skip that and go right to?
They can certainly review it.
We can go right to the city engineer, though, can't we?
Yeah, I would ask a condition that a professional plan be presented to the city engineer for his review.
And on the side fences, not the one facing Kaiser Avenue, but whatever that side street is. I'm lost it. So Ferdinand Street's here. So whatever's over here and here, this is next to Norton's garage here, I take, that them two fences would have some kind of planting there to create a buffer zone, so these trucks, lights, and anything don't shine onto any property that's abutting or close by.
Do we know what that street is?
I think it's Ferguson or whatever it's called.
There's Ferdinand, that little alley is called Martin Place, and then there's Stanton.
Is Stanton run alongside of it?
Stanton runs alongside the old rug store.
No.
Well, I don't know where that is.
What runs
so.
alongside this?
There is nothing next to it.
This is between Ferdinand and the court. You said it was Martin Court.
Martin Court?
Yeah.
That's Kaiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's for.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What does? And what about what's back there? What's back there? The whole thing? Okay.
There's the garage here.
So this is the alley back here?
No, that's a street.
That's a side street.
What is it?
There's no houses around.
No?
No, it's
Okay.
it used to be a carpet fishing farm.
Okay.
There's nothing there.
All right, so Dan, let's just look at that the lot be paved and an engineering drawing be given to the city's engineer drawing with a professional plan for their review.
And
that
you
the
could
lot be-
add that it meets the parking and buffer requirements that are already in the ordinance.
Correct. That it be entirely fenced in, and that all lighting be directed towards the ground and not affecting neighbors or the streets themselves, the highway or the streets.
And not to block that alley that's there.
Well, if they're on his property, they won't block the alley. If it's fenced in, they're going to be on his property. If someone parks in that alley, that's something you got to take up with the police department at that point there.
You can make that a condition, though, that all parking has to be within the fenced area.
Okay. But his employees can park on, and their employees, I should say, can park in the couple spots that are in front of the building. Any overflow has to go into the fenced-in area.
Yeah.
All right, so that could be a condition too, please. Employees can utilize the 5 spots, I think, that we said, or he said, and then any overflow employees not to park on the street. It's to go into the fenced-in area where the trucks will be parked. The same thing with all tractor cabs. Everything is to be parked inside the fenced-in area.
Yeah. Another condition, I would ask that all the truck traffic exit to Kaiser Avenue and not down Ferdinand Street into the neighborhood.
Yeah, there's a sign, I think, it says no trucks.
There's a no truck sign there, but Walmart actually called and asked about that, and I checked into, there is a sign there that says no trucks, but there's no ordinance behind it. So probably we would have to move forward and make that portion of Ferdinand, the lower portion, a no truck.
Is that council? Is that council?
Yeah, that would have to be council.
Okay.
That would have to be done through ordinance.
All right. Anything else, guys, that we want to know?
Nothing.
Nothing. Good.
What about the hours? So they're not coming 3, 4 in the morning?
Well, they're
It's
going to be.
24. So it'll be a 24-hour
rotation, yeah.
Okay.
And you know, let's put one, let's tighten this up a little bit. Idling can't be any more than 10 minutes. You got to curtail the idling of the trucks for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, either shut off or they have to leave.
Okay.
Because we got 4, 5, 6 of them in there idling like that. I don't care how far away you're going to hear us.
I will say, my biggest concern is that I'm sure you'll do a great job, maintaining the property and the trucks. My main concern, though, is, in the event where you decide to leave and sell the property, and now this property has the okay to, store trucks, right? And the next person who might come might not be as diligent as you, and it turns into a junkyard for trucks or for cars, and it just becomes a problem property, even with all the stipulations we're giving. But that's just the only concern I have is in the case that, you do sell the property, whoever comes after you.
I'll put it this way, the building itself is not high enough for trucks. So I mean, let's say down the road, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, if I sell, the Walmart will have the contract for X amount of years to park. And I'm pretty sure if they sign a contract, it's gonna be 5 plus whatever. Another thing is the building itself is useless for the truck maintenance. The height is not there. So the trucks usually require 14 and up ceiling height, because in case if you want to lift it, it has to be high enough. If you want to go underneath, you have to be, able to drive on a ramp, which can, again, increase the height of the truck. So the building itself is useless for the truck other than parking.
Yeah.
To pull a truck in with the trailer, it's impossible because the entries from the Kaiser, they're not wide enough.
Yeah, it's not the repair of trucks that's the problem to me. It's mainly, let's say, I'm a person who owns a scrapyard business, and then I buy that property, and I see that, this has a zoning approval for me to store trucks there. Well, then I can start scrapping trucks there. I could park my truck there. That might not be of any use, but is able to be stored there, and that's one of the issues that I see.
Hey, Brian, I think we're going to put another stipulation on that any truck stored on that, or I don't want to use the word stored, any truck parked on that lot be with the current registration, inspection, and operational.
And not be parked for more than 30 days.
Right.
For any one vehicle.
Yep.
Anything that's DOT compliant, I would assume can park there, but I mean, nothing for junk purposes, I guess.
Well, I think I'm looking at Abraham's concern, and I think if we put that stipulation in there and add on, as Mr. King said, 30 days, no more than 30 days, But again, they have to be registered vehicles, current inspections, and operational. And it's just the cabs that we're storing there, the tractor cabs, no trailers.
Cool.
You got your hands full, Dan.
We're good?
Yes, I'm fine as long as everything is within regulation and clean, neat.
Okay.
No drains plugged. I'm fine.
Good, then. I'll be calling you.
Make a motion with conditions?
Hang on one second.
Dan, did you want to read those back to us, or?
Phillies are losing, Dan, don't worry.
All right. Cabs only, no trailers. No idling over 10 minutes. Trucks with current registration, 30-day maximum stay. Pave the parking area. Refer to the city engineer for the drainage question. Park entirely within the fenced-in area. The lighting not to affect the outside neighbors. Fencing all around. A buffer on the Martin Court side. And no trucks leaving other than toward Kaiser.
Okay, just one thing, Dan, I don't think I heard, and if I didn't hear it and you said it, I apologize, that the trucks have to be fully operational. And I think, and again, the 30 days, I don't know if you had, I heard that they can't be parked there any longer than 30 days.
Yeah, I have that.
Good, thanks. Want to read it again? I'll make a motion.
Board Member McDermott?
Yes.
Board Member D'Antona?
Yes.
Board Member Morris?
Yes.
Board Member Gattens?
Yes.
Chairman Walsh?
Yes, 5-0, you've been approved. Good luck.
You guys are the best. Thank you.
Wait.
Okay, last on the agenda today, we have Mof Solutions seeks variance to operate a nail salon at 2934 Birney Avenue, R-9 zone. Would you please step up? I think that's fair.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give in this matter to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
State, spell your first and last name for me, please.
My name is Nancy.
Yeah, bring that right over to you.
Nancy Minato, Mainato. I'm speaking on behalf of my mother and my aunt. Our hearing, this is the continuation of our hearing, and we spoke with the owner of the property of the nail salon, and he had told us that he had talked with one of you about the nail salon's parking lot issue.
Abraham, do we have anything from the parking? This was continued for parking.
You were supposed to bring a parking diagram in.
Yeah.
Did you get anything?
No, I don't have anything on me, no.
Nancy, we don't have a parking plan. Do you have a parking plan with you?
No, I was told that the owner of the property had spoke with one of you guys and dealt with it.
Would have been him.
Yeah, attached is a sketch to the application. It doesn't designate parking spaces,
Ya le dije
but it
eso.
shows all the dimensions of the parking lot and where the building's located.
Who sketched that? That was in the...
Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, so we'll have to work from that. My understanding is that there's a bar and 3 apartments. Is that what's on the property?
Correct.
And where would the nail salon be in relationship to the bar and the 3 apartments?
Right.
So it would be a nail salon, a bar, and 3 apartments?
While we're looking for that, what would the hours be of the nail salon?
¿Qué son las horas del salón? It's 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
How many days a week?
6 days a
Monday
week.
through Saturday? No Sunday?
Mhm.
Okay.
I was over there and I took rough measurements using the diagram, and I came up with parking spaces 16 to 24 total. No, none of this. And the bar business itself, it's closed Sunday and Monday, and it opens at 5. And it closes between 10 and midnight.
Dan, are you figuring out parking spaces?
Do we know how big the bar is?
I'd say 2,000 square feet.
Okay, oh, wait, I'm sorry, that testimony, the last one was 1,500 square feet.
Okay, we'll work with that. So this was yours, not the guy's?
So the only concern I'm going to have with the board is that if we require everyone else to pave their parking lot with that many spots, we have no other choice but require the same here.
I would agree. I mean, you're going to have some water detention issues there.
Yeah. That's going to be up to the owner, so it's going to be contingency to get that paved and lined.
Dan, did you come up with a number? I'm sorry.
It's going to be 1, 2, 3.
Well, the bar is 1,500 square feet. We don't know how much is the kitchen and how much is open to the public.
I'd
So
say
it's very difficult to come up with an exact figure.
I figure the kitchen, say 500 square feet. It's a small kitchen that they have back there.
Okay, so if we say,
Sean's in there a lot, he told me.
so it'd be 20 for the bar, 3 for the apartment, and 1 for the nail salon, if there's just a small nail salon. So 2. I'm probably overestimating, but I came up with 25. Jim said there's 16 to 24. We probably don't need 20 for the bar, so.
If I heard that correctly, the bar, it sounds like the bar opens when the salon closes? Yeah?
I mean, it's a hair salon for years. This shop as well. It's operated before it's in the now prior to that. The only concern I'll say I have is I have no problem, speaking for myself, I have no problem with the business going in there. But again, what I stated, if we're requiring everyone else with that size parking to pave their parking lot, I think we have to do the same thing here. Yeah. So I'm going to put a contingency on here that the parking lot be paved and lined. They might actually squeeze another spot in or lose a spot, we don't know. But I'm fine giving the variance as long as that's taken into consideration, or done, I should say, and not meeting the parking requirements, because the two businesses operate, at this time, operated on opposite ends of the clock, so. So I'll make a motion with those contingencies on there.
So are you understanding what he said? The owner would have to pave the parking area for this variance. If we approve it, he would have to pave the parking area.
Dice que se van a probar de eso, que el señor, que el owner, que va a tener que pagar
He
por el
grandfathered through.
parking.
There was a bar before.
My mother says that you'd have to speak with him.
Yeah, well, we're going to vote on it, and that's going to be a contingency on our approval. If you do get approved, that would have to be taken care of. So the zoning officer will explain it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, you would, if they approve it, right, you would just have to let the owner know, hey, we can open the business there, but the parking lot just has to be paved. And once he applies for the permits to have the parking lot paved, I would recommend to submit your business license to the city of Scranton. Once that permit is submitted, and then that way, you know, once it's paved and the job is done, you'll have your license ready to go, ready to open.
Okay.
Hey, Don, and Abraham, I have a question. If this was a business in there before and it's a similar business, it was a salon, hair salon, why does this have to come before us?
If there was a hair salon in there before, that would be a lot, this would just be a change of ownership. That wouldn't need approval.
That was there for years. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm not aware of what was in the building there, so.
Yeah, from what I was able to say was, you know, maybe it's just that, like how you said, it's been there for so long in the past, but, you know, just according to the records that I had, we had nothing showing that there was a salon or some sort of business there. As far as we know, we just knew that the bar was there.
yeah, it probably wasn't registered. Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. But,
It closed down about 4 years ago.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah. It could have also been, you know,
grandfather
that we just didn't have the record, you know, got lost to time or the hack.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if it's closed for 4 years, our ordinance says, that, you know, it's abandoned after 12 months.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely more than 12 months.
So you made a motion?
So I made a motion with the stipulation that the parking lot be paved and lined. Yep.
Second?
Second.
Board Member McDermott?
Yes.
Board Member D'Antona?
Yes.
Board Member Morris?
Yes.
Board Member Gattens?
Yes.
Chairman Walsh?
Yes, vote of 5-0, you've been approved with the conditions.
Thank you.
I think that was the last one we had a call, right?
Just one more time, Dartmouth EFH LLC seeks special expression for the city to recognize the property as a 4-unit property at 1321 Dartmouth Street, R-10 zone. They did not appear, so they requested to be tabled.
This one,
Thank you, meeting adjourned.
this one, the first.